What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll. We're hanging out with our couple of Toms today. Bobby, I think, should be joining us sometime soon. But we'll get into some quick intros and we'll start talking about some awesome chair fabrication stuff. So, I'm Shawn. I'm a C5, C6 quadriplegic from a snowboarding accident 20 years ago now. Tom Conway, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then you can introduce Mr. Tom Finch there.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tom C. As Shawn just noted, I'm a C6B quadriplegic for the last 26 years. And yeah, coming at you from beautiful, sunny Southern California. I like people generally named Tom. They're usually pretty cool people. So I'm excited to talk with today's guest. Tom, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Okay, my name is Tom Finch. I'm a T12 paraplegic from a motorcycle accident. It was 20 years on April 25th, and like so many of us, spent 9 months at Loma Linda Hospital, and then came back out. Fortunate job I had as a fabricator. My boss gave me a chance to still prove I could do my job, and so I was fortunate that I was actually able to go back to work and work a full-time job. And so that's kind of where it all. That's where the injury started.
Yeah,
Well, go ahead, Shawn.
I was gonna say I didn't know you did your rehab at Loma Linda 20 years ago, because I was like, I didn't do my rehab there, but that's where I was there for like a month in ICU, and that's where I had my surgery done. Um, and that same in 2004 January, so just months before I guess you were there.
I got there in it was Easter weekend, and so I did the majority of my rehab there. Unfortunately, in Bakersfield, there's just not any place that I would send anybody to rehab. Um,
Yeah.
it's just, especially for spinal tape injuries, it's just there's just nothing there, and it's kind of
Um,
sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's tough, I think, for anybody in like a more rural area. Like generally, like the best rehabs are in the bigger metropolitan areas. So, it is kind of luck of the draw, the area that you're in, depending. But did you get an opportunity to go and rehab at like a better rehab outside of Bakersfield, or did you just do what you
Yeah,
did there?
I wish I could have gone longer. I was going down to San Diego to Project Walk for about 3 months. I'd go down there. I'd leave Bakersfield on Thursday night, and I'd rehab Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning. And that's probably where I was able to get my mind right, because Project Walk, I just absolutely loved it. I mean, everybody that was in there were people that wanted to do better, to achieve whatever they could achieve, even if it was just the littlest thing. They're just the morale of people. I mean, you worked hard, and therapy was for 2 hours. It wasn't no little 35 or 45-minute deal. I mean, I would come out of there just completely soaked. I mean, because fortunately my injury level where it's at, I still sweat,
Yeah.
and I didn't know that was an issue until talking to different people. I didn't realize that was a problem for some people. And so yeah, that was a great place. They wanted me to stay longer. Um, Unfortunately, the company I was working for before my injury, they wanted me to come back to work, and because I ran the whole shop, and so I did. And but and I was really sad to hear that a couple of years ago that they closed down in San Diego. But from what I hear, there's another place in Southern California. I can't think of the name of it. Triumph goes there from time to time, and a lot
Perfect.
of the people,
Is that?
perfect step, and they have some people that came out of Project Walk.
Oh,
And
I actually didn't know that, but I actually remember seeing stuff for Project Walk right after my injury and thought that looked really cool, and just never was able to really do anything like that for the getting down there. But um, Yeah, no, that's cool. You were able to do that and get some better.
What what was really, not to get too offline, but what was amazing for me and that helped really get my mind straight is there was a gentleman down there that was a T12 complete. And I didn't mention that. My injury is actually incomplete. This gentleman was complete. And he'd been in the program for a year. And he was sitting on an exercise bike right next to me pedaling. It wasn't smooth. It was just like, kind of jagged. But he could do it. It was amazing. And then I before I actually had my last therapy session at Project Walk, this young man actually was able to get his driver's license, and he moved out and got his own apartment. And it was just so amazing to see. I mean, he'd been in the program for a while, but it just proved that most of the time we give up, before we get the, and it's just life. We all know that. Things happen, life takes over, and it's hard to put ourselves first sometimes.
Yeah, it's a powerful thing. Figuring out how to live independently and like drive and take those kind of big leaps, because they're huge and they're scary, and it can take years and years of work to work up to being able to do all that stuff. So it's very cool to hear. But we got some questions about you, Tom. I got some
Sure.
questions. Yeah. What kind of fabricating did you do before your injury? What kind of fabricating did you step into after?
Um, I pretty much had been a fabricator since 1983. I started welding, and back then in Bakersfield it was primarily oil field welding, pipe work, building drilling rigs, stuff such as that. Um,
Cool.
I fell into an opportunity where I walked into a four-wheel drive shop at one point, and the gentleman behind the counter was a guy that was a youth pastor at a youth program I used to go to. And so I started doing some work for them at night, and then they showed up with a truck and some different stuff and asked me if I could build a monster truck.
Wow.
And yeah, so I started. So my life kind of took a turn for a while. I mean, I was still fabricating, but I kind of got out of the oil fields a little bit and started building monster trucks for different people and off-road race trucks, and traveled all around the United States. So I learned a whole lot there. I learned about suspension and hydraulics and different stuff such as that. And then just by chance, another friend of mine that I always rode motorcycles with, um, he actually asked me to build a wrought iron gate for him. Of all things, it seemed kind of silly now, but a friend of his seen what I'd done and how I kind of took the extra step to make it nice. And the guy's name was Mark Force. He owned a hydraulic shop in Bakersfield, and he called me up and asked me to come in and talk to him. And so we sold our welding truck and our welding business that we had going on, and I went to work in the hydraulic industry, where again, just more and more opportunities showed up for me to learn different aspects of fabrication. Um, Practically anything fabricated and designed for Disneyland in the last 25 years that was operated hydraulically, I built. I did everything for Pirates of the Caribbean, California Adventures, the big water show they have. We did all the control boxes that are in the pond, and it just goes on. We actually sunk the Titanic. I built all the hydraulic systems
Really?
to operate the special effects to sink the ship. And
That's actually really cool. That's awesome experience.
and then it's funny because looking back on it, when we did Titanic was when I got married. I actually had to postpone my honeymoon for a month. My wife wasn't happy, but my boss made it worth my while. And then later on down the road, a few years later, we did all this. We were doing all the hydraulics for the special effects for Pirates of the Caribbean for the movie. And halfway through that project is when I went out racing, fell, and broke my back. So it's like I still today, if I go down to the shop in Bakersfield, I can look at all the different projects that are sitting around and tell you my life story, because something always happened.
That's
Um,
cool.
that's pretty amazing. Really cool. I mean, I love World of Color and all the Disney
Yeah,
stuff.
if you look
It's cool.
inside the pond, you'll see a bunch of stainless boxes, and
Yeah,
my
I
hands
see
are on
the
every one of
boxes.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So how did things change after your injury? I mean, obviously, becoming a paraplegic is a pretty serious thing. Not being able to stand, not being able to, move in the ways that you did so easily. How did that change your work? Was it hard to come back? It sounds like you had an opportunity to prove that you could still do it with your boss, but what was that process like?
Well, I kind of had to learn how to build things differently. For starters, when I went back to work, my boss, he asked me to build him this rack to stack 2 air compressors on, and we're talking big industrial air compressors. And I just had to really stop and think about it for a while, because normally I would just build it from the ground up, because the thing was 10 foot tall, and I came to the understanding that I just built one side, and so I basically I just built it on its side and then stood it up, and that's kind of where it started. Is just learning how to do things differently. We built a workbench for myself that was lowered, and I added a crane to it so I could easily set stuff up on the workbench. And a lot of times, honestly, I jumped out of my chair and I crawled around and rolled around on the ground, and I just I made a point that I was just going to do whatever I had to do. I have 2 young kids at that time, and I knew they were going to be going to college, so not working was not on the table. And
Yeah.
so I did what I had to do, like we all do, you know.
So how do you operate a welder? I mean, obviously you probably don't use the foot pedal or anything like that. Is it like just a custom setup? Is it like a something you're able to just like easily figure out, or is it something you had to
Well,
like build and figure out?
with the TIG welder, which is what you use for the aluminum, I have a thumb control. Actually, originally I didn't know anyone made a thumb control, so I actually had a friend of mine help me, and we made up a little push button that was tied into where the foot pedal would be, and I put it in my mouth, and I would bite down on it to create, and then it would turn the machine on and off. But then I found out, a little bit later that they make thumb control, so I was able to put a rolling device on my welder on the stick, on the gun, I guess you'd call it. And then with my thumb, I'm able to roll it on and off and adjust the amperage on and off. And so it worked out pretty well at that point. I still use the mouth control from time to time. If we're welding pipe, I would use it to turn the roller on. So I'd have a thumb control for my welder, and I'd have another adapter in my mouth to turn the roller on and off. And
Yeah.
that's just kind of how it went from there. And as far as the starting doing the wheelchair stuff, it was never originally, it was never meant to be a business. It was the fact, like so many people, um, National Mobility dropped a chair off at my house that I completely refused. It was an absolute piece of shit. Excuse my language.
It's
And
all
I
right.
sent it back, and then they finally brought me something back that I could use. But at that point, I just started realizing that I had to start building stuff for myself. And so I fortunately have some use of my legs a little bit. So it was kind of funny. I'd taken a 3-wheeled bicycle and I kind of turned it into a wheelchair, but then realized without handlebars, it was only driving one wheel, and all you do is go in circles. So I ran into the neighbor's car, but we figured it out. We made some changes, and then just kind of we were just kind of working and not, like I said, really not looking to do a whole lot other than stuff for myself. And then I don't know if you guys remember a gentleman named Shawn Mahaney. He had Mahaney wheelchair. Or Shawnco is what he called his business.
I remember.
Yeah.
And Shawn only lived 30 minutes from me. And we happened to run into each other one day at Home Depot, and we got to talking. And it was crazy is when we started setting up our backgrounds were very similar, where I had always built trucks and four-wheel drives and lifted trucks. He built lowriders.
Oh.
It was kind of the same, but just different. I raised them, he lowered them. But as far as what you worked with, he still worked with the same stuff. And, we just became really good friends. And I do a lot of 3D drafting as well. So I started working with Shawn hand in hand and designing helping him design some stuff to send to machine shops to have made. And then unfortunately what happened. He, on a way to a fundraiser, he got ran over by a semi on the 405. He was on his street bike. And then after that, some of his customers, another gentleman that we lost, Blake Simpson, he called me up and he needed stuff. And so we started building some stuff for Blake. And then another gentleman, Tim Cleveland, he wanted something to go to the top of the mountains in. He loved his hand cycles, but they weren't really getting where he wanted to go. And so we spent 2 years and we developed the lever drive chairs that we do for hiking. And he's been to the top of Mount Pinus and that. And from that point on, it just kind of snowballed into what we have today. And, a little over 2 years ago now, I quit my full-time job and this is all we do. And I'm just blessed every day that I can, my shop is, 30 feet from my house. If I want to take a nap at lunch, I take a nap. It's just been such a blessing. And, I just, my favorite part of it all is when I get to really help people, make it, some of the stuff we've done has really made a big difference in some people's lives. I always love to share. There's one of the hiking chairs there. We built a small version of that for this young kid down in the San Diego area. And this young kid, he has a chromosome disorder, and he couldn't hardly walk. He can't talk at all. And we built him one of these lever drive chairs. He didn't have the organization skills to even push a manual chair. So we built him one of these lever drive chairs, and within 20 minutes, he figured out how to push the levers. And man, a smile just came on this kid's face. He lit up. And the best part about it was he would always get excluded from PE at school because he couldn't get himself around in his regular manual chair, where his parents were able to talk the school into letting him take his lever drive chair to school. And so now when the bell rings for PE, he's out there with all the rest of the kids just tearing it up. And I'm so proud of him. I mean, obviously they had help, but just a few weeks ago, him and his mom finished a Spartan cross-country event. And, they had a couple Marines on their team, and so they'd pick him up in this chair and they'd drag him up over obstacles, but it just really opened up his life. And that one there that you're showing there, Shawn, actually has full suspension and went to a gentleman in Klamath Falls who is a fireman who came down with a debilitating spinal cord disease. And, he lived in Oregon where he wanted to go hiking. He hadn't been able to go hiking with his wife in 2 years. And, a week after we delivered it to him, he called me up and told me that he went for a 3-mile hike with his wife for the first time in a couple of years. And I mean, we're talking big burly fireman, and he's just in tears. So, I mean, that's stuff like that. That's what I do it for. I just love when we can help people to that extent.
Hey, Tom.
Hey.
Sorry I'm late. Good seeing you again. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Um, on that chair or your hiking chair, is that like kind of based off that widget system where you're pushing forward or pushing back and the chair goes forward?
No, I mean, you push the levers forward and it goes forward. It's all, I designed it all with bicycle components. Each lever drives each wheel independently. And I wanted to do it that way. So if someone anywhere in the world has one of these, they can take it to any bicycle shop if something goes wrong and it can be repaired. I don't want somebody to have to send something all the way back to me to be fixed.
Yeah.
That's
So we
really
just,
cool.
we just kind of repurposed stuff. Um, on the picture, if you notice, there's like some little red levers on the chairs. And by flipping those little red levers up and down, it engages and disengages the drive system. So you can disengage the drive system, and all the newer chairs have hand rims on them, and you can push it just like a traditional chair. Yeah, there you go. And then, when you get to grass or going up a hill, you can engage the system without taking the levers off or anything, and away you go. Just get right up any hill you want. And I've actually taken them up a 30-degree incline.
I might need to
So
talk to you about one of those. Those things are pretty cool.
we actually have one designed. I designed one for quads. We use gloves, so you lock your hand in.
Okay.
And I've noticed from talking to people like yourself, Shawn, and a couple others that or even Andrew, that it seems like most quads can have some kind of a shoulder or rotation motion. A lot of them do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So whichever is strongest for the quads, either in or out, we have the levers at the top pivot, and when you pivot it, it activates the brake for each individual wheel.
Huh.
And we have a couple people that have bought them primarily so they can get out of their electric wheelchair and get some exercise.
Yeah.
And we have another one we designed for Hemi. Everything runs off one arm. And,
I don't know if I have a picture of that. I have a few other just your regular chair pictures here I can post
Yeah,
up.
I don't think
oh, that one's big.
yeah, that's the skate chairs. Which that's kind of been our biggest seller this last year. We have the WCMX chairs, and
How many chairs are you producing each year?
I think I built maybe 15 to 18 chairs last year, so it's not huge. I mean,
Right.
Everything we do is for each individual. Well, we probably built 20,
Mm-hmm.
but everything's specifically built. That's actually a chair there we built for frog legs.
Oh, cool.
Even though you see that version of it has the box forks on it, but the back of it has a carbon fiber leaf spring suspension package that Frog Legs is making now. And we actually had that chair at the expo. At the expo, it had frog leg forks on the front. But that actually is for a gentleman named Rand Abbott, who I was talking to you about earlier, Shawn.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what he uses to take it across the desert
Cool.
to go rock climbing.
Yeah, no, they're
So-
beautiful chairs. All the skate one, that one, the hiking chairs, they're really nice, really well designed. They always look really clean. Every time I've seen one of your chairs, they've always looked just very well made. So
Thank you. That's, one of the things people always ask me is about weight of chairs. And honestly, I know it's really important for some people, but for me, I prefer to be able to sleep at night and not worry about something getting broke. So, admittedly, my chairs may be a pound or two heavier than somebody else's, but I sleep at night not worrying about them falling apart.
no,
Even
I think that's
even the skate chairs.
yeah, because if you're taking it to the skate park or the hiking chairs, I feel like you definitely would have to have a little bit sturdier of a chair. You can't, because you're bouncing, bumping. It's not going to be even. So that's cool.
Well, and like with the skate chairs, so many people I've talked to, as hard as it is for all of us to get out and go do something away from our homes, I don't want someone to go to a skate park and have to worry about their chair, or all they do is work on it while they're there. So like the front of my chairs, the fork stems, traditionally every wheelchair in the world only uses a 1/2 inch stem. And in the WCMX world, they break them all the time. So we've developed our own fork, and it uses a 5/8 stem. Every part of that fork right there is our own. And it's I'm not going to tell you anything's unbreakable. But the young man who won the World WCMX Championships last December, he's been using the same fork stem for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he skates in it 4 days a week.
And I've seen some of his videos. Like Thomas,
He's doing good. He's a young kid. He's
wild.
Thomas. He's out of England, out of Preston, England, and great kid.
Yeah. We are actually gonna try to schedule him on the show coming up here soon too.
He gives me faith. I'm sorry, Shawn, I didn't mean to cut you off. But that kid gives me faith in the younger generation.
Yeah, no, he seems like really cool. Go ahead.
How long does it take you for your skate chairs to build?
We have 90 days on just about any chair we build.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's actually going a little fast. We're actually a little slow right now. So I have one that we're getting ready to send to Australia. It'll probably be ready by the end of next month. So that'd be 60 days from the time the guy ordered it.
Oh, wow.
60 days. That's pretty good. Wow.
Yeah.
What's a custom job cost for? I mean, I'm sure it varies, but kind of generally, like for like skate chair, like what would it run?
What we call our lightweight daily chair, which I know isn't the lightest weight chair. They're 4,000.
That's very reasonable for chairs these days.
Well, and you got to remember too, what we supply with that chair. That's not an upholstered backrest. That's an ADI carbon fiber backrest. That's a carbon fiber seat pen. So again, I'm not worrying about you falling through the seat or in 6 months your chair's not comfortable because the backrest is stretched out. And again, everything is built per the individual. I draw every chair up on 3D, and the individual signs off on it. The skate chairs, they're right at 55. And again, we just use the best product out there that we can find. And we're not locked into a product, so if a customer comes to us and says, hey, I want this backrest, I don't want the ADI. No problem. As long as it's not upholstery, I have no problem with it. And I know some people love upholstery, but I absolutely hate it. I've fallen through it myself early on, and but that's something else. And there's a couple other places that are the same way. We're able to give you whatever you feel the best product is out there. Again with the WCMX chairs, another thing that we do that most people aren't is we use a bucket seating on most of our chairs, kind of like what you see on the adaptive snowboards and snow skis. And the people that are using that feel that it's really benefits them because once you strap into that chair, you're in the chair. You and the chair are one person. And
yeah, that's kind of like the rugby chair. That's the only thing I can familiarize myself with that because it's the same thing. When I'm in my rugby chair, I have my feet are strapped in, my knees are strapped in, my waist strapped in, my chest is strapped in. Like I'm literally attached to that chair. I am not coming out of it. Like if it flips, I flip. Like it's
Rugby's so fun. I wish I could get down and play and do that a little more often with you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you come out on one of these Sundays. Just come hang out and get in one of the chairs.
Have you made a rugby chair before, Tom?
No, I have not. And I've built basketball chairs, sport court chairs. But there's some people out there that build the rugby chairs that they build a beautiful product. And they've been doing it for a lot of years. I'm not interested in reinventing the wheel. And Vesco, we all know they build a beautiful product. And
Mhm.
as much work as there is into a rugby chair, it's just a lot. And
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want to come out there with something that might be second rate because it's not something that I've done.
Yeah.
So I would have to I'd have to build a couple of them first and get some people to try them out. And it's a lot of work to end up with a pile of crap, and because I won't sell anything that's not going to be first rate, and so it'd be a
But
big investment for me.
if you had a customer like Shawn comes to you and says, "Hey, I really wouldn't mind if you can just do this for me and build me a chair. Just the Vesco is, taking a long time to get, a chair right now. Can you help me out and get something to me in 3 months?" Would you be able to accommodate something like that, or do you ever
Yeah,
accommodate other orders like that?
yeah. I mean, I would. I'm not going to go advertising that I'm going to build rugby chairs, but
Yeah.
if somebody came to me like that I knew, that would have patience with me, because, like, say, if I built him a rugby chair and he got in it and says, "Hey, this isn't quite right," we can, he's going to be okay with me saying, "Okay, well, we're going to cut this out. We're going to change this. We're going to change that." In that circumstance, I'm okay with that. But for someone to call me up and say, "Hey, I want a rugby chair," and it's somebody I don't know from Adam, and they're on the other side of the country, so if there's something that's just not quite right, it's going to be really hard to make it right, then no, I'm not interested in doing that at this moment. Down the road maybe, but
Hmm.
you got to remember, my bit us building chairs, it's just me.
Yeah.
Everything I do is one off, specific for each individual. Um, so we can only do so much in a year.
Yeah.
I think it's special what you do. I wish it could be done for more people. Maybe more on the custom side. Like chairs are a tool for mobility, but for us who spend our lives in these chairs, they're a part of our physical identity as well. Like when people
Oh,
see us,
absolutely.
like they see our chair. It's like representative of who we are. It's representative of our function, of what it allows us to do, and like these cookie cutter chairs that they just produce and give to everybody and shuck off to everyone. There's kind of the copies of the same thing, very little customability, very little fine tuning for making it work, making it the best it could be for an individual. I wish that was done more. And for most people, I mean, you can, as long as you can advocate for yourself and you can like educate yourself and ask the right questions and like also demand that your DMEs provide the actual meaningful service they're meant to, you can still get it done. But if only everyone could get a chair from Finch Fabrication, or similar companies and services, I think it would just be so much better and so much more meaningful for individuals, because it's just so important. It's so a part of us and who we are and who we develop and how we develop and what we become.
Right.
Mhm.
No, I agree with you completely, Tom. And honestly, I wish more people was getting more done. I wish I was at the point where I needed to go hire 4 or 5 people. But I would never want to let the individualism, is that probably not even a word, but anyways, I would still want to work directly with each individual. And my
Yeah.
favorite customer is actually the one that's been in a chair for 2 or 3 years, because they usually have a better idea of what they need and what they want. And even though all of our, I tell people this all the time, even though all of our injuries have similarities, every one of us is different. Everybody's needs are still a little bit different. And, that's who we want to, that's who we strive to help, is the person that knows exactly what they need to make their life better. I mean, I have a pretty good idea, especially I've been doing it for almost a little over 7 years now, but still, even with the knowledge I've acquired, you know, somebody always hits me with something else. Hey, can you do this? Can you do that? We just built a chair for a gentleman in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. He wanted to go sledding with his dogs. And he wanted to know if we could put attachments so he could hook his dogs to his wheelchair.
That's cool.
The big wheelchair companies aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
They're just going to laugh at you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, you have to go get a custom type thing. And I'm actually just gonna shout out the chat in a second, but I was just gonna one quick comment. I've actually, like Tom said, the cookie cutter chairs do not work for a lot of people, and even for me, like I do know exactly how I want to sit, like how I like my chair now, and I tried to get a quickie like almost 4 years ago now, and I tried it for almost a year. I really gave it a real shot at but I was just increasingly uncomfortable. Like my balance was off in it. It would flip on me. It turned into like an unsafe chair for me. So I'm back in my almost 12-year-old custom Melrose chair now, which is another wheelchair rugby manufacturer.
Right.
But I love this chair. It's getting rickety and starting. It's pretty old and beat up. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't go back to that quickie chair and feel comfortable doing my daily life. Like there's no way. And I tried to come as close as I could with what they offered as far as the different like attachments, angles and stuff that they could do, but it's not custom. There's only fixed positions it can be in. So it just didn't work for me. But real quick, I just wanted to shout out the chat. Thank you, Jeff, for the super sticker. You've done those $50 ones. It's like every month or two, and I just want to shout you out. You've continued to support. We really appreciate you. The support does help keep the channel a free resource for the community, so we really do thank you for that. Appreciate it. And then also Alpine in the chat was asking tips for bladder infection. Maybe we can all give a quick tip on bladder stuff, even though we're talking chair stuff. This is a disability community. We all have disabilities, and we all are here to help. And then also one other, I think there was somebody else that was new. Spooky mentioned is new. I think he said his name was Spooky earlier. Autistic, love to hang out. Thanks for coming, joining. I hope you're enjoying the hangout, and feel free to chat, ask anything you like.
Shout out Spooky. Actually, she has been coming and hanging out on some of the gaming streams. So thank you for
Awesome.
stopping by the other shows. We appreciate you being here. And yeah, Alpine, the bladder stuff is tough. I wish there was a simple or easy tip or answer or solution. We have some longer shows where we talk about specific bladder stuff. I dealt with a neurogenic bladder and figuring out the catheterization thing and managing infections and stuff like that. And it does take some time. It takes some processing. It takes some talking to professionals and talking to your peers and figuring out what works for you. And it is a process. Just to also encourage you too that it is a solvable solution. There's a process you go through. It does take some time, but there is a light at the end, meaning that I firmly believe that everyone can figure out how to manage their bladder, regardless of their level of function or control over it. It's just a matter of putting in the time and the work to figure out what you need to do to manage it. We're here to help in any way we can. I really highly encourage you to go check out our other episodes where we talk about it in much longer form. We talk about how we all manage our bladders individually, whether it's intermittent cathing, suprapubic, other kinds of stuff. And hopefully you can gain some insight from that. And otherwise, you're welcome to reach out to any of us individually too. And we can certainly support you and try to offer whatever insight we can.
And I know, Alpine, you said, how do you avoid all the infections? Sometimes you can't, not all the time, but there are things out there called D-monos, cranberry pills, and other abstracts, things you can do to help reduce some of the infections. But to avoid all the infections, sometimes it's pretty tough. You'll find you get into your own rhythm about what works for you. More water, don't drink alcohol, or or take, yeah, I know. Don't laugh too hard, Tim. And that's like me too. But you'll find what works best for you. But you're going to find that some people will do it, have their own system, by taking vitamin. really for me lately has been doubling my vitamin C intake. And it seems like that's been really helping me avoid a lot of infections. And knock on wood, I haven't had one this year. And we're already in May. So January to May,
Almost
that's
half a
pretty
year.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I probably just jinxed myself, but that's all right.
Yeah,
So,
I've been years without an infection that required antibiotics or anything like that, and I intermittent cath 5 6 times a day, every day, and I don't take D-monos. I don't take anything else to help fight the bacteria. I do bladder irrigation and I drink like a fish when I need to flush my bladder. But I also like to drink alcohol, and I also don't drink enough water. So I'm just saying, like, the life you want to live is possible regardless of what it is, and you just have to find that right balance. Like, I truly
well,
believe.
it's kind of like what I'd mentioned earlier. We all of our situations are similar but different. As far as infections for myself, I've been very fortunate. Usually, I drink cranberry juice kind of on a regular basis, and I just don't seem to get them too often. But that's just where I'm pretty fortunate with it.
And Tom,
yeah, and
this is
everybody finds their, like you said, I couldn't do what cranberry, like you said, and it didn't seem like it worked for me, but it works for you. So
Yeah.
a lot of different methods work for everybody. You just have to find it, and sometimes it takes time with a lot of frustrations.
and Tom,
Sorry,
do you
Sean.
do intermittent? It's okay, but do you do intermittent catheterization then, or can you void on your own, or how do you manage your bladder? Just
No,
so
I have to calf.
okay.
I intermediate calf, and again, and people think I'm crazy, but I had a nurse tell me years ago, because I was going. I mean, like so many people do. I was going through freaking whole box of catheters in a week. I mean, it gets expensive. And this nurse told me one time, she says, if you just keep it clean, she says, she says, the inside of your body is the same. You know, how'd she put it? She was telling me about a client of hers that would keep his catheter in the bill of his hat. Was a military guy, and I asked, and she'd asked him, well, what about the sweat and stuff? And he said that she told him that the sweat is the same as what when you're putting it inside yourself. It's it, it's not. It shouldn't really cause most people a problem. And not that I keep mine in the bill of my hat, but I only use one catheter a week. I reuse my catheter. I wipe it off. I wipe it down, and I go through one box of catheters every 3 months.
Are you using just the straight Red Robin?
I'm not sure what that is. I just use a Coley calf.
Coloplast.
Yeah,
Coloplast.
Coley calf, a little green tip on it, 14 French. And
Okay,
That's
so
what
I was lucky.
Um, I it's so funny. I just have to mention this. I went through this major bladder surgery. It was like recovering, dealing with all this. And my nurse practitioner, we were talking about like, the cleanliness and, sterility of catheters. And she told me this story about a guy that kept it in his shoe. It wasn't in the middle of the hat. Kept it in his shoe and just would whip it out when you need it. And bing, bang, boom, there you go. And I kind of thought it was crazy at the time. I wonder if these nurse practitioners are talking behind the scenes, coming up with these stories or something that they're telling us. I would say that what Tom is saying is not entirely wrong in that your bladder is full of bacteria and stuff that your body's filtering out, and you have excess of, be it, like things you drank or ate and stuff. Like, that's what it's doing. Your kidneys are filtering things that you not good for your body, and it's getting rid of them through your bladder. And it's not particularly like necessarily a super clean place. If you intermittent cath, it's as much as you try to be sterile, the reality is you're introducing outside bacteria in. stuff that you're not seeing. Like, it's just kind of the way that it goes. If you're kind of doing any intermittent cath, and if you have anything indwelling either, I mean, bacteria is gonna still go on for someone who has a suprapubic. We do our best to keep it as healthy and clean as possible. The D-monos and stuff that like Bobby was talking about, the cranberry stuff, it actually helps create a pH in your bladder that doesn't allow bacteria to form, and can just keep it like balanced that way. Just yeah, just whatever that pH level is. So the bacteria can't be alive in that environment. But also, my urologist at UCSF told me best thing I can do when I see the sign of an infection is to start to drink. Says like flushing out that bacteria is the best thing you can do. If you can drink as much as, not necessarily drink yourself sick, don't want to get yourself sick, but drink as much as you can, manage as much as you can take, even if you're peeing every 30 or 45 minutes. And that's what I'll do for a day or two, is I'll just sit there and chug as much water as I can, and I'll cath every hour for a day. But at the end of that day, the next day, it's a whole lot clearer, and generally it will just flush out whatever is taking a hold in there, bacteria wise. And again, we are not doctors. None of us are doctors. None of us are licensed medical professionals. We just have 20 plus years of experience managing our bladders via catheterization. So that's just where our expertise is coming from. It. Always talk to your doctor. Always run anything by your doctor. Anything you think that might be causing ear infections, might be whatever. Like, don't, just always run everything by your doctor, and have really good conversations with your doctors too in regards to all this stuff, and coming up with a management plan, because that's what you got to do. And hey, Daryl, what is going on, dude?
And Juan just joined us.
What's up, Mr.
Now
Morris? Great to see you, dude.
we're getting towards the end of the show now, so let's go ahead and swing back to some chair customization with Tom here, and then we'll start to get wrapped up in a little bit. But do you have any? Do you guys have any other questions for?
Yeah, I just had one. Like, so do you ever, talk with other guys that are building chairs, like the Mike Box and Hands On, that are doing some of the? Yeah, I'm sure that you're like, but it sounds like a little bit. So
one of those I don't talk to. I do talk to one. I just said one of those guys I don't talk to ever. But I do talk to Steve at Hands On Concept. Great guy. Mm-hmm. I probably talk to him at least once a month. He keeps trying to get me to come down and go have some dinner with him and some margaritas.
He's trying to get you on board. He's trying to get you on board is what he's probably trying to do.
Steve's a great guy. I really like him a lot. We've talked back and forth different ideas from time to time. And he primarily uses titanium for all of his stuff. I primarily use aluminum. That's what I know. Titanium's what he knows. He does. He builds beautiful stuff. I have nothing negative to say about anything that guy does.
Yeah, I was like Shawn. I was in a Colors for years, loved it, but just needed a backup chair. Tried to do a tie light through the insurance because insurance won't pay for custom, and it just came to unusable. Like, I mean, not even for 5 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding? You changed, and half of the stuff that I told him what I needed, he changed it. The rep from TI was helping me out, and so finally I just called Steve up. Steve, need a chair. He's like, you got it. Come on down.
Yeah, no,
sitting in a beautiful chair.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I hope to get down to San Diego and go have lunch with him one of these days. And
yeah.
But one thing I would like to throw out there, if you guys don't mind, is to everybody, if you have the opportunity to shop around, there's a lot of the different companies out there that are owned by people that are disabled. Keep that in mind. I mean, because help those that they usually have a better understanding of what you need and what you want.
And do you know others that are wheelchair users making chairs?
No, I don't. I do know of a couple other companies that are owned by disabled people. Rolling in Paradise out of Florida, they're a great company, great
Yeah,
people.
Don is really good. Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as anyone else that's actually producing anything that or disabled themselves, other than I know one or two people that have just built stuff for themselves, but no one else that's trying to actually help the community.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's why I feel like somebody with a disability like yourself, Tom, you're not only supporting others, in the community, but your heart is in the right place. Like you care that the individual is going to get the right product at the end of the day, and they're going to be happy, they're going to be comfortable, and they're going to be able to live their life to the best of their ability. So that's one
Thank
thing.
you.
And I was going to mention too, anybody that does want to reach out to Tom, information is down below for his website. You can check it out. And even though custom chairs aren't available through insurance, you can still get grants for them. Lots of different grants out there. And I'm not sure, but maybe you can answer, Tom. For the hiking chairs or the WCMX chairs, you can apply to like Kelly Brush or like CAF, can you or no? Is that
Yes, absolutely. I've sold the majority of all my hiking chairs have been sold through Kelly Bush,
okay?
and same with. We've sold a couple WCMX chairs through Kelly Bush too, but most. What's crazy is the skate chairs. I've sold more of the skate chairs out of the U.S. than I have in the U.S. right now,
Wow.
and these people seem to be able to find grants and actually the way the programs and stuff work out of the country, some of them are quite a bit better than the U.S. Switzerland, for example, they have a WCMX team that has coaches, and they get paid for their travel. They get paid, I just sent 2 chairs to Switzerland, and the Switzerland government paid for both of them.
That's cool. So, yeah, that's
Shout out the international SCI community for doing better in some parts of the world. We still got a lot of work to do for the rest of the world. We're very blessed here in California and the US of A, but still, there's so much more that could be done. We could be doing things so much better. Everybody who wants one of these chairs should be able to have one of these chairs. It shouldn't be so much a process of picking and choosing. But we appreciate what you do, Tom. I think there's only one way to know a disability fully and truly, and that's to have it and to live it and to go through it, every day. And I think it's very cool that you took your circumstance and your skills and your knowledge and turned it into something that can lift up the community and help change people's lives, because I'm sure the tools and the chairs that you give people do change their lives, not just through your testament, but just seeing your passion and examples of your work. I know it for a fact. So we really appreciate you being a part of the community, doing what you do, and also being here today and sharing your story and some of your knowledge and expertise with us. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you giving me the chance to come on here. I don't get to watch the show as often as I'd like, because unfortunately, unless I set a timer, I'm out in the shop and I forget that it's on at 3:00.
Well,
You guys do a great job too, and I love seeing you guys out at all the events. And
yeah, no, thanks, Tom. Yeah, we just glad we could finally get you on the show, get you share some of your story. And like I said, if anybody is interested in a custom chair, skate chair, hiking chair, definitely reach out. And there are
Are you still
available, so check that out too.
in the Bakersfield area, Tom?
I'm in Tehachapi. We're about
Okay.
30 or 35 minutes east of Bakersfield.
So I have some family in Inyo Kern, and they always drive through Tehachapi to get to Bakersfield for whatever they need. But no, that's cool to know. I know our paths have crossed before, but we'll have to make sure.
I love it up here. You pull off the freeway and pull into the town of Tehachapi, and I tell everybody you can almost forget you're in California.
Yeah.
It's a great. It's a great place. We live at like 4,000 feet. We actually get snow, and just
Lots of
absolutely.
windmills. Yeah. Don't you
That's
have
What's
awesome.
that?
lots of windmills up there? Those Swedish windmills.
Yeah, I think last I heard we have the largest windmill farm in the United States.
Yeah, that's right.
That is crazy. I have to come up for a visit and check out the shop one of these days. I
Yep.
honestly would maybe I'd be interested in checking out a hiking chair. I think that would be really fun to be able to do. And yeah, because as a quad, I can't. I have a freewheel for my chair, and I'll put on, and I can roll through grass and some stuff because I have the power assist wheels. But even that, and the power assist wheels aren't really made for off-road terrain. So something with levers, a little more leverage, might be pretty cool. So.
Well, I know I have a couple of them that are set up for quads. I can pick one up and we'll meet up and let you try it out one day.
I actually would love that. So I will make sure I will text you and start to get that set up. But yeah, thank you, Tom, for coming on and sharing and everything today.
Thank you.
Thank everybody in the chat. We appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and shout out our sponsors actually real quick. So let me go ahead. Tom, do you want to go ahead and do it, or do you want me to? Yeah.
Sure. Mobility Professionals. They are your DME Central. If you are in Southern California, they can help you out with wheelchairs. They can help you out with shower chairs and other similar related medical equipment. They are an awesome company. It's been supporting us for the last couple of years and are of the community as well. I know Dean, our buddy Dean McCabe, is one of the guys that helps run the company. He's in a chair, and they just really do know and understand and work hard to help do everything that we talked about today, is get you in the right equipment that's going to suit your lifestyle, and also help provide you some mobility and what you need. Urology Professionals is their sister company. Anything and everything catheter related, they can help you out. Everyone's got to pee. If you need some extra help with catheters, some urological supplies, they got you covered. They are a national brand as well. So anywhere in the beautiful US of A, you can reach out to them. Go check out their website, give them a call. They'll work with you and your insurance to get you what you need to little as no cost as possible. And they also give us a lot of love and support. They'll share some of that with you, but go and share some of that with them because they help us out so much. And yeah, appreciate our sponsors.
Yeah, definitely appreciate sponsors always helping out, and thank you. And then let's shout out our shows for the week here we got coming up. So tomorrow we got gaming with Tom T Fizzle every Wednesday. Make sure to tune in, check it out. Always fun. And if you're a gamer and you want to join, pop in the chat, let Tom know, and he'll get you set up on there.
Even if you just want to come and hang out, we got a bunch of awesome people that just come and hang out with us. There's no pressure to join. We talk, we hang, we chill, we joke, we have some fun. I try to entertain. It's arguable whether or not I do, but we at least have I'm at least having a good time. So if you want to come and check it out, I appreciate it.
Yes.
And thank you, Leon. I agree. The Toms are awesome.
I know. I should like that. Toms are awesome. Thanks, Leon, always for joining in the chat as well. And then so also this week on Thursday, we got Bobby coming back with Robert and Luis for a Rolling Over the Hill episode, talking about aging with a disability. So make sure to check that out this Thursday. And then next week, on Monday, we'll have Gaming with Hell Wheels. This week he was under the weather, couldn't game last night, but make sure to check that out on Mondays if you want to hang out another night of the week. And then we're always back on Tuesdays as well, 3:30. Next 2 weeks, I will be in Joshua Tree, though. So I will be here on the show, but a little bit different background, a little bit different setup, and looking forward to some shows on the road here. And then clicking that. And then just to make sure we round out all the shows, we got in a couple weeks, we will have Rolling with the Golden Oldies. So the women talking about aging with a disability. This month, I can't remember. I think their topic is tips and tricks. That's right, of aging and medical stuff and health things like that. So they always have some good information. I think actually they have the most experience on one show for years combined. Bobby, they beat you guys out because one, there's 4 of them, but they have like 40 plus years, even close to experience each. So awesome ladies.
All we need is one more. All we need is Tom, and Tom will be, he'll fill in, and we'll beat those girls.
And then one last show we got coming up, and that we actually had last week is the Wheel Girl Talk with Brianna, Nikki, Ashley, Maya, and Jessica. And that's always just a fun show. You don't have to be a lady to hang out in the chat. They always do have some insightful, fun stuff they're talking about.
If you are a lady with a disability, really highly encourage you specifically to go and check it out, because it is really a great group of inspiring women. And shout out the ladies. They need more representation. So appreciate the girls for doing that.
Yeah, that's it. So we got all kinds of good stuff for you guys coming up Monday through Thursday streaming. So make sure to check us out. And Tom usually asks our guest, Tom Finch, do you have any last words, anything you want, any bit of advice, anything you'd like to end the show to share with anybody that might be struggling, maybe somebody newly injured, or just really anything that you want to share?
Don't be afraid to ask for help, and don't be afraid to reach out to others that have already been there. Well,
Yeah.
I think we all have to step up and help the others in our community. And we know it's all scary when you first get injured, and there's several groups out there that are top rate willing to jump in and help and give you guidance. So don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
Love it. That's a really important one, and one that some of us have to learn along the way. But it's a really important one to remember, because we all need some help sometimes, and it's okay to ask for it. And that's part of the reason why we're here too, to be a resource for anybody who's got questions and looking for good positive information.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. That's what we're here for the community to support. So like Tom said, feel free to reach out to anybody in the community. We're here, any of the other people on the channel. Every one of the shows has Instagrams in there. And I actually do I'm going to add right after the show, add Tom's email into ours because he's not answering his Instagram stuff right now, not on there. So make sure I'll give you the email so you can reach out to Tom directly. And then Tom Finch and Finch Adaptive Fabrications, all the information is down in the description as well. Click on the link, check out the website. And I do believe I have your Instagram in there as well. Tom, thank you again. We appreciate you coming on the show. And look forward to seeing some awesome custom chairs coming out of Finch Fabrications.
Thank you.
Also, I know it's your last name, but big bird lover here. And I love the name of your company, Finch Fabrication. It's great. That's awesome.
You wouldn't believe how many people ask me, "What's the bird for?"
Oh,
really?
God.
That's funny.
Oh yeah, I thought I picked up on it because I saw the bird. I was like, "Oh, that's kind of a cool name." But then I realized I was like, "All right, there we go. That's where I came from." Yeah, but that's awesome. That's awesome.
But all right, you guys. Thanks again, everybody, for watching. Make sure to subscribe. Click that bell for notifications. Like, comment, all that fun stuff. And we will see you guys next time. Tom, check out his gaming tomorrow. And we'll see you next week. Let everybody live to roll.